Welcome back to the Sort of Truth series. Nope.
Oops.
Welcome back to the Sort of Truth podcast, the chapter-by-chapter reread of the Sort of Truth series with a dark and intricate craft brew on the side. I'm Jade, and I'm here with Nate.
Hello.
And today, we're going to be trying our best to untangle the twisted web that is Chapter 17 of Soul of the Fire.
Holy shit, you guys. This chapter is on a whole nother level. The last one, 12 minutes.
Cake.
This one, 40 fucking plus.
And not only that, not only is it 40 minutes, but it is a conversation that is had between two people. During that conversation, the main character is having his own, like...
inner monologue, kind of like thoughts going on.
Yeah.
And you're privy to that, too.
So it's a lot. And we're going to take all of it.
We're going to do it all in one.
Yeah.
Because we can handle shit like that here at podcastatt. It's what we do.
We can. We're solid over here. We can just take it.
We're just going to get down on our knees. We're going to take that chapter like a pro.
Right to the face.
And so will all of you after listening to this episode.
And that is our moment of truth for today.
That is a hell of a moment of truth.
We're going to touch on last chapter just for a second. We're just going to tap it with a little recap it. Fitch lost his nickname and gained respect for Dalton Campbell.
That's right. His boss is supposedly treating him a little better now.
Mm-hmm.
And Dalton Campbell is Fitch's new favorite fucking person
It's a whole new
on
world.
the planet. Deanna hates him now anyways. It's time for him to get a new bestie. And this guy just is dropped from the clouds, apparently.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Wonderful.
Yeah. We are actually with Sir Dalton. He is the leader of this chapter.
It does kind of sound like a knight's name.
Yeah.
Sir Dalton
Sir
Campbell.
Dalton. He's going to start as Sir Dalton, and he's going to end as Dalt. Just letting you guys all know. Because these are long notes, and Jade gets tired of typing his whole fucking name.
Eventually, they'll just be D-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
D. He is heading to his wife, Tess, in their rooms to decompress from the day. He had a very long day. We actually, I don't know if anyone realized it, kind of followed him throughout the day.
Yeah, we were doing it from Fitch's point of view, but we've seen Dalton Campbell around in almost every chapter.
Yeah.
Close to any chapter having to do with Fitch.
He's been doing some shit. He's been working all day.
So it was funny. Jade and I kind of came to this realization earlier, like, holy shit, we've actually been with Dalton Campbell just through Fitch's lens, kind of, which is really interesting.
Right, which makes you not try to think about Dalton's point of view during those chapters because we were with Fitch, but now thinking back on that, you can kind of maybe reflect on what his thought might have been once we get to know him a little bit. It's wild. He wishes that they could just stay in and fuck him and his wife and just like fucking enjoy the rest of the night, but the feast is still tonight.
Well, knowing we've seen this guy around, he's been busy all day.
Yeah.
So he hasn't gotten any of his him time.
Yeah, he wants to let off some steam.
Or his them time. Yeah. But they got more stuff to do. And tonight, like you said, is the fancy dinner.
Right. And Tess has the rooms pristine.
Yeah.
It is set up for guests because it's likely that he'll bring somebody back tonight. Anybody from a dignitary, an important person, or just like a sneaky, inconspicuous set of eyes and ears, just somebody who might give him some info.
We know a little bit about these people, that they have intricate webs of information flowing their way.
Interesting that you say that because that is exactly how Dalton is describing it in his mind. He has a web that he tends, and feasts are great opportunities to tend the web.
Yeah, a lot of people bumping elbows.
Yeah, make allies, you can enforce fealties, you can do all sorts of fucking things at a feast without making it obvious that that's what you're doing.
That's some real Game of Thrones shit.
That was my thought, and I was trying to figure out, we touched on this conversation, me and you, the other day.
Yeah.
I said, he's Varys or Littlefinger, and you were like, those are two different people, and I was like, yeah, but I don't know.
But they have the same function. The thing is, Varys the spider and Littlefinger each have circles of people. They just have different people in different areas of town, but they do the same thing. They network with people. They know people from all walks of life so that when you come to them and say, I have a need, they can say, I know a guy who can help you. And that's how they become useful, because they can fucking solve problems.
I'm thinking that maybe the difference is...
Or make them. To be clear, they can make them too.
Well, I think maybe the difference is that Varys is more like information gathering. Like, we don't ever see him in the show that I remember actually making moves or making differences.
It's gossip. He gets the information.
And
that Littlefinger, a lot of times, I think, if I remember right, it's been a long time.
That's what I'm saying. We haven't watched it.
But that's what it is. The information itself is important. And the more people you have gathering it for you, the better.
You're right. Yeah. But Littlefinger actually is the person who is like manipulating things and changing the course of events.
Correct.
Based on this information. And so I think that maybe he's more like Littlefinger.
Yeah, he's got his finger on the pulse of society. Like, he's a higher up in government. So this is a powerful person making moves.
Right. We do get a little bit of backstory on Tess and Dalton's relationship here. She is about 10 years younger, in her mid-20s, which I think it's good that she's in her mid-20s and not like 20. It makes her a little bit older. But I will say there is definitely a age gap here, and you can tell the dynamic between the two. There is a very significant power dynamic here. And she's younger and prattles on. He's older and tells her how things are going to go.
But also, they met and married 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they've been married for 20 years and this was at one time very problematic.
Right.
Yeah.
And she is fit as shit. She looks good. He had a lot of options, but Tess was the most ambitious of all of his options. So clear winner. She wanted to go places, and so does he.
I mean, I could see where somebody who is busy making moves, making shit happen, and making money, most importantly, who is ambitious in life, doesn't just want a model wife that's like, yeah, she's gorgeous, but like, I can't really talk to her about ideas and like actually make plans because she's not about that.
Yeah,
like she just looks pretty.
Yeah. She's not going to help me.
So where a guy was like, I want a wife who's going to get involved in our fucking life and like, let's go
help
places.
Me go places.
Exactly. Yeah.
Build together. Right. When they first got together, he was just an assistant to the magistrate in Fairfield. He has since, in the last 6 months, been promoted 5 times. They've moved 5 times since then to better and better positions, which is
fucking crazy.
Wild. 6 months? That is crazy. That's like 1 a month almost. And you barely get time to get used to a job by that point. But he's already
rocketing up at a pace that is
himself
unheard
so good
of.
at each one. Yeah.
And what's better is, they get married and he says, I'm going to make your life something special.
Yeah.
And then bam, 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 bam. He's getting promotions, raises. We're getting a bigger house. Like shit is going right.
His reputation keeps growing. People value his knowledge of the law, and he doesn't just know the law. He knows all of its little hidey holes, and he has arcane knowledge of the law, so he can manipulate it how he wants.
He uses the loopholes as well.
And if he can't, he's not afraid to step outside of it. People like this about this man. He is everything you want in somebody that you're connected to, because he will get your shit done one way or another. No matter what.
Yeah. I'm sorry that man robbed you at gunpoint. We couldn't actually legally sue him, but my boy just broke his leg. You good with that? Then we good with that.
And not even my boy. His leg just happened to break in a back alley somewhere.
Oh, it's the worst thing.
Weird.
He just happened to fall down a nearby flight of stairs, broke both legs and a couple of ribs.
Just terrible.
Well, anyway, I hope you have a nice day.
I'm sure you will now.
It seemed the situation has miraculously resolved itself.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So,
by the way, you're welcome to dinner.
Well, Tess wants to know who's going to be at dinner tonight. she's wanting to tend her own webs because she is an ambitious person. So she is doing her own shit alongside Dalton to help them grow.
This was really interesting to me. Tess is also working on just exactly like Game of Thrones or that one show, what is it, Bridgerton?
Yeah.
Where it's just about social status and the way you're perceived. Yeah. What dress she wore. Oh my God. Can you believe he said that about so-and-so? Yeah. But that matters to people with power. So you've got to play that aspect where the room, it has to be perfect for a guest. Like, oh, no, we just put the pillows up because we thought they look great. It always looks like this. Yeah. You know what I mean? And put that face forward so that you're not just mocked outright by this group of people.
The thing that I think is interesting, and part of this I think is their age gap, but Dalton tends to keep going on about how much he loves Tess, how awesome she is. She's so ambitious. But I think it's very clear throughout this chapter and probably the whole book, he undercuts her because, yeah, she has her own web. She's social climbing. He's not interested in what she's doing, and he doesn't think it's that important.
Because his status being raised in his mind automatically raises her status.
Right.
But the reality is, if she makes a fool of herself, even if he becomes the top guy, they are still going to think of her as that one bitch who looked weird and wore the dumb dress at the party and is like, she's lucky she's with him because she has no idea what's going on, and that's going to last forever.
And he appreciates her and he does trust her, but I think it's clear because during this whole chapter, she keeps talking, he keeps tuning her out.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about what she's doing or what she cares about until it relates back to what he's doing.
Right.
So, like, he appreciates her. He says he loves her. He says he appreciates her, but he doesn't actually think that what she has to say is that fucking important.
They're a partnership.
But it does.
He lessens her importance in that partnership.
Right. It is a partnership, but I just think that that's important that he does lessen her in that. So it seems like there's a partnership, but there is a imbalance there that can make it not the strongest partnership.
I think he's just mistakenly discrediting her social side of what they're doing.
Right.
Like, he doesn't think it's important because power is power, but she's ultimately what's going to gain the respect of the people. And like, when the ladies start talking and that whole stereotypical deal, like, the town will know. And once the town gets a general sense of who you are, then your name goes down in history, and that can be changed at a whim. So if somebody's feeling particularly good about you that day, boom, you're written in the annals of history as a goddamn hero. And that's what he's shooting for. I know what I did. I'm not sorry.
So she does want to know who's going to be at dinner. Dalton says they're all just going to be boring dignitaries. When she pushes the issue, he's like, yeah, the minister will be there.
Big dog.
Yeah. And Tess is like, well, he's not boring, Dalton.
What do you mean boring? That's the man.
The minister? Oh, he's so exciting. And I'm sure that's exactly what Dalton wanted to hear.
This is something Jade was bringing up earlier. It's just like, they got this real tight partnership. They agree on lying to other people, but not each other. And then she just keeps dropping these little hints that maybe she's not fully into the partnership.
Maybe she likes other people.
To quite enjoy the prospect of Chanbor and maybe other people later. Yeah. But it was fucking funny to me. She's like, whoa. Don't discredit him. He could be a wonderful man. And Dalton's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
At this point, she's like, hey, there were Norts? That's the Australian.
Do you got some Norts?
I've been watching some Australian shit lately, so that's what that came from.
You've got some knights under the door?
We're pushed under the door. They're in the secret drawer in the desk.
I don't know how to say drawer.
Drawer? He goes to read them right away. Never mind.
He reads the notes and says, crikey! That's what I know how to say.
Charm?
I was trying to desperately say, that's not a knife, but that's the first thing that comes to mind whenever you're like Australian accent.
No.
And I can't do one.
Yeah, no. Nope, me either. I've been trying. I've been watching, like I said, I've been watching a lot of Australian TV. It's not helping me.
I know for a fact there are some people in Australia listening, and after watching some more TV based from Australia, you guys have a beautiful accent. I love it so
love the way you talk so
much. I feel like I would vibe with every Australian. I really do. Gosh, you people are great.
I wish I could talk like you.
That's
I'm
a you
not
people
cool
I will stand behind.
Yeah. Okay, so
Moving
the notes in the secret drawer, Dalton starts to read them. There was a drowning in the town fountain in the middle of the day, and he seems to think that this letter is implying that there were implications of a magic vendetta covered up to look like an accident.
Okay, well, I'm glad he said something, because I was going to say maybe we should just put up a sign, like don't put your face near the water of the fountain, because it could drown you somehow. What kind of a fountain? It's not really described.
Now listen. We're the readers. We know what's happening. This is the chimes. The chimes cause somebody to drown in the middle of a whole bunch of people in the middle of time, which is also wild.
But we don't. How do we know that he thinks that it's the?
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know it's the chimes, right? That's our suspicion. But like, he's like, oh, this is a magical vendetta.
That's interesting.
Don't know how he came to think that.
Right.
Yeah.
That is an interesting thing. I do think it's wild. Like, it's almost cartoon to imagine the person. It's not funny, but to imagine the person drowning in the middle of the day in the fountain is almost cartoony, comical, because the way it's described in the book is that it's the middle of the day and it's a bustling town square. So somebody just shoved their face in the fountain in the middle of the day, and before, like, for a full minute before anyone was like, oh, that dude's dead now.
Holy shit. Okay, so we do kind of have to go to break, but this reminds me a little bit of the movie Hannibal. I love the Hannibal Lecter series. They're great psychological thrillers.
Fucking creepy person.
But there is a scene in look, Hannibal,
you don't have to explain.
Objectively is an incredibly boring movie. But there are a couple exciting scenes in it. The books are very interesting. But the scene I'm talking about is the scene when he's got to get Hannibal's fingerprint on the bracelet. That happens pretty well in mid-fucking day in a crowded central square of, I forget where they are, in Rome and Italy, something like that. Yeah, one of those places. Anyways, the point is, this dude tries to get Hannibal to grab his wrist and get a fingerprint, but Hannibal stabs him in the middle of the fucking day, and he just bleeds out. So it would be just like that. But in the movie, they have all these like brick pillars between this walkway. So like it is somewhat feasible that for just 60 seconds, like you could probably shove somebody's head under there if you had just the right opportunity and pull that off.
Yeah.
That is fucking wild. Fortunately for us, we think that it's the chimes, and probably, I mean, obviously magic was involved. The person didn't have to be doing something dumb necessarily. The water could have literally just grabbed somebody and pulled it in. And then you're quiet. If it's deep enough, nobody might see you right away.
I mean, think about Junie. Junie saw something in the water that was and then he chased it.
Boom, he drowned in 6 inches of water. So, like a fountain is even easier.
I don't know if canonically people throw coins in the fountains here.
That's interesting.
You look into a fountain, you see something shimmer more than you expect a coin to a little bit.
Look at that big coin, mommy.
And it's interesting to you. I mean, you start watching the way that the water,
at it a little
the
bit.
sun's glinting on the water, and then you start to get sucked into it.
I wonder what it looks like underneath the surface. Let me just get a closer look. And then you don't even realize you're not breathing and you're dead.
And nobody else noticed that you were doing that either. I mean...
and you're just hanging over the side of the fountain?
I mean, I lost...
That's awful.
I didn't realize Jackson was looking at the gems in Disney World, and he could have died. Anyways, we can go to break. I need a beer now.
Yeah, I think I do too.
We'll be back right after this. Hey, Nate, what'd you grab out of the fridge for us?
Today we are drinking a beer super appropriate to who we are talking about. We are drinking a beer called Velvet Villain Imperial Porter.
Ooh.
I fucking love that name. It is so cool. This is from Lansing Brewing Company. It's an Imperial Porter. So it is a dark beer. We're in the depths of winter. It is cold as shit here in Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I really, those of you that are in a warm place listening right now, just soak in a little bit of that warmth and send that in your thoughts towards us, because we've been cold to the bone for a couple of weeks now. And we just got word like Monday is going to be sub-zero temperatures.
Yes, for us here in in January. You guys are in February, so hopefully things have warmed up for you there. But
February is the coldest month of the year here. That's why I was born right in the middle of it. Anyways, the back of this can says, "Shh, sinisterly smooth." We all know that guy. That guy that always has a plan and the right thing to say. That's the guy you keep in your rearview mirror. That's the guy you never trust with your car keys or passwords. Velvet Villain Imperial Porter is that kind of beer. So sinisterly smooth, you'll forget this is a porter that packs one hell of a punch. Helluva spelled Helluva, which I really love. Don't let your guard down and play nice with this silky swindler, or you might wake up stranded without a cent to your name. Don't say we didn't warn you. Best served cold and often. I did forget the percentage.
Oh, it's high. Not super high.
This is an 8%er.
Yeah, 8.2.
So this one packs a fucking punch.
I have to honor our missing cohort, because I don't know exactly what he would say, but I do feel like Aaron would have some type of fucking bit here about how he is the Velvet Villain or something along those lines. So I just want to say, yes, Aaron, you are.
We're going to proxy Aaron in as the Velvet Villain.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't trust him with my car keys. I would definitely keep him in the rear view. You know what I mean? I feel like this is all fitting in, but I feel like if he was here, he would definitely be leaning into that. So yeah, 100%.
Aaron is the Velvet Villain.
Yeah, Velvet Villain. We'll have to have him give us some feedback on this and get back to
the origin story.
Yes.
I can hear him saying right now, no, my middle name is Velvet Villain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can hear him
Aaron
doing
Phoebe
something.
Duddles.
I just,
that could be fun. We can work something out.
We'll work something out. We'll get back to it.
I'm going to text him later today. What's up, Velvet Villain? And he'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You'll find out. But this beer, it's pretty good.
I didn't really have high hopes for this. After I read what it was, sometimes they're a little bland, but this has a ton of flavor in which they have not described what it is. But it is very pleasant.
Chocolate.
Is it chocolate? I can't tell. The point is, it's pretty fucking good. It's really good, in fact. And there's nothing that's hitting my tongue right now that I'm super disagreeing with. Everything is great. He's a velvety villain. He has taken me, and I didn't quite mind. I think I'm going to give this 9 out of 10 crimes. I think this is a great fucking beer.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lansing Brewing, you nailed it with this one. This is a solid fucking beer.
I think this is our first one from them.
Yeah, it is. I don't think I've ever had something from Lansing Brewing.
I made up the chocolate thing.
Well, whatever it is, it's
great.
wonderful.
I like it too. I will also say probably 8.5 to 9. What'd you say? Fucking
crimes.
Yeah,
Velvet Villain. Villains do crimes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to finish this one, and we'll see you in a little bit. And we are back.
We're back.
I'm so excited to be here. Dalton is reading the notes from his secret drawer.
Secret drawer. Hold on. They have a shared secret drawer. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because she tells him they're just in the desk, but he goes to his secret drawer. So obviously it's not that fucking secret.
Drawer.
Yeah.
I don't want to give anything away
that she knows about
because
it
would defeat the purpose. But you and I have a secret object in which we hide things
Yeah.
Not going to say what the object is because obviously that defeats the purpose of having said object. Yeah. But like that is a fucking statement that this is a together-ass couple because we also have a secret hidden thing that nobody else in the world knows about. And I thought that was cool.
I will quickly just say that the reason I like our secret object is because it is not one that we bought, it is one that we made.
That's right.
But this note that he is reading, this next letter, is about a perturbed woman who wrote a letter to director Lynn Scott. Now, that's not specifically written in there. Dalton knows that it is referring to director Lynn Scott. She's looking for a private moment of his time. This letter was never delivered, and Dalton does seem to know the reason for her urgency, but it is concerning that she was writing to Lynn Scott and asking for a private meeting.
Yeah, so to clarify, because this was confusing for me when we went over this the first time, Jade really straightened me out on everything that happens. This woman, we can kind of have a guess as to what happened between her and Chanbor. She's writing so she can have a private audience. I took that to mean that Chanbor did this creepy thing with her too, raped her. Now she is pregnant and is reaching out to be like, hey, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And that's what the urgency is for. Dalton has a good idea that this is what it's about. But the whole point of this is that letter never reached Minister Chanbor. That letter was intercepted. The director.
Lynn Scott.
Director Lynn Scott. I'm sorry, I was talking about the wrong person. That letter never reached Director Lynn Scott. It was subverted and given to Dalton to handle.
Correct. And he's going to have to do something about that. Overreacting, moving too quick, it might cause a problem.
He's keeping his head as being logical about this shit. He wants to solve it and make it go away.
He's going to pull
his blow it up.
Yeah, he's going to pull his strings, find out what he can first. Talking to her might actually give him kind of an idea of which direction or plum he might be able to give to her to satisfy her. Yeah.
See what she needs.
What's exactly her problem?
Yeah.
Here.
What is your problem?
With what happened exactly?
Help me help you. You know what this kind of reminds me of is in Pulp Fiction when Vince wipes his hands and gets blood on Jimmy's nice towels.
Oh, yeah.
And so Jimmy freaks out, and then Mr. Wolf says, we'll buy you new towels. Don't worry about it. This is kind of that.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, but these are my special things.
Yeah.
My Aunt Jenny.
Exactly.
Yes.
And Uncle Marcellus or Uncle Wallace is happy to provide you with anything that you need. But, what is it you need?
Yeah, exactly. Fucking Dalton, he knows what people need. He is good at getting people what they need.
It's his job at finding out what people need.
He's been working the network here at the estate since he's been here.
Yeah, he kind of gets in there and he finds what people need and he massages the situation to make that happen. And then he gets a reputation for making that happen. And he becomes the guy you see when you need a thing.
You can get the McDonald's.
And when you put a guy like that in power, shit happens.
Yeah. Did they have brains or knowledge? No, they were popular.
They have connections. Oh, look at you.
Right. But priority.
Exactly.
His priority has been becoming indispensable to Chanbor specifically, the minister. And so on fucking Dalton's second week, a researcher was sent to the estate, to the libraries, by the directors.
These are the Bobs from Office Space. We're here to make sure that everything is running according to plan and you're doing everything specifically by the book.
As we wanted.
Yeah.
And Chanbor was not happy about this. He flew into a Kylo Ren rage about it, actually. Dalton perceived he didn't like that. So 2 days after the researchers' arrival, Dalton was able to report that the man was arrested while drunk in the bed of a harlot. Now, that doesn't matter very much, but in his pocket, they found a rare book by Joseph Ander, the Joseph-ander.
Joseph-ander.
That had been reported stolen right after the man had left work and gone drinking.
Work being in a place in close proximity to this book.
The book.
So he leaves. They notice it's missing. They throw up the alarm. They find him drinking, drunk in a prostitute's bed, which is, I thought it was funny. They're like, that's not the problem. The problem is that he stole this very rare book.
The directors are moral people, so they may have fired him, but he wouldn't have been murdered. But because he was seditious, he was put to death.
Yeah.
Death is not a word. Death is a word. Fear is helping me. They deaded him. This caused rumors to swirl about a confession that was implicating other people in this theft. This caused the director that sent him to research to resign.
That means that director was obviously up to some nefarious shit. And whether or not they actually nailed down what he was up to, even if it was speculation, he still felt the need to step down and get out of the way because he may have had some dirty ties, or there's nothing at all, but now his reputation has been ruined.
Could be either thing.
It could be either.
Even if he had a prestigious record and he was just trying to do the right thing by sending a researcher, he doesn't want the end of his fucking tenure as a director to be tarnished by this thing. So either way, he's stepping down and getting out of it. Dalton, after the resignation and the execution, discredited all the rumors. He shut them all the fuck down, closed the matter, closed the book on it. And one of his friends just so happened to get the post that was vacated by that director.
Oh, he just so happened,
just so happened.
Well, it always does kind of pay to have friends in high places, doesn't it?
Yeah. Seems like they won't get a researcher back there anytime soon if his friend is working there.
Weird. The thing that kind of sticks out to me is this guy, the higher up, right? Let's put this in terms that I understand. Let's put this in terms of a fast food restaurant, corporate. Send somebody down to your restaurant to just make sure everything's going good. And your manager is doing everything legitimately by the book. But she's letting a couple of employees eat off books because they really don't make a lot of money there. And it's not a big deal. It's all wasted stuff the company writes off, and it's fine. But corporate finds that out and starts, sticking their nose in there, and then she's going to get shut down. And this generally nice thing she's doing that's technically not cool by company standards gets exposed. She gets fired. These people get fired, and everybody's having a worse time. So this person just makes sure that doesn't happen. So the person like the assistant manager steps in, right? And make sure everybody's on tip top the day they show up and nobody's fucking around. That little option that's usually there for the employees is now off the table for the next 24 hours because corporate's coming sniffing around. They got to make sure everything's cool. Or they shoot a little email up to corporate. Hey, we've been having a great week. Here are our numbers. No reason to come by, and avoid that little snafu altogether. The point is there's a person there subverting what should be the go-to checks and balances to make sure that everything goes right for one specific person. Person usually with an advantage of power over other people.
And then they get a preferred position because of it.
Yeah, there are bonuses.
Yes.
To being number 2, say, in charge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is what Dalt is looking for.
Exactly.
And so this is all happening in Dalton's mind. Again, I just want to reiterate this fact that we are going to be slipping back and forth between weird exposition about past things and current things, and then coming back to Tess.
Yeah. Brain thoughts and mouth words.
Right, exactly. I just want to make sure that we are clear about that because it's going to get confusing when I go, Tess comes back in, a total smoke show after talking about what we were just talking about.
Total smoke show.
She is odd.
You guys, she wanted the room to be absolutely perfect. And she herself needs to be perfect.
Yes.
And she delivers on this. Perfectly.
The gold dress is hugging. The neckline is a plungin'.
Ooh. Is that the one that goes all the way down, like you can see almost like top of tummy?
Probably, yeah, because her full breastises are exposed.
They're out.
Full
out.
Yeah.
Is that how?
Yeah. She comes swirling in the room. Dalton walks towards her and she just ends up in his arms, right?
Naturally.
But she starts to pull away because she's like, I spent way too much time on my fucking face. Don't touch it. Don't fuck it up.
So frustrating. Like, we get it. I understand. But here you've gift wrapped this beautiful present. And I can't unwrap it. It's so frustrating.
That's why I wear a lot of things that can't be smudged, Nate. But that's also for me because I'm a messy person. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's all fair.
Yeah,
I want you to have your beautiful moment.
No, I don't wear traditional lipstick most of the time because I'm not about that.
I want you to have that.
Yeah.
I just, I want to have that too.
Well, he does too. So he kisses her anyways. And she does moan when he does.
She leans in a little. Yeah, it's about the makeup, but they're not unwanted advances.
Oh, hey, who's that?
It's our buddy.
It's Horny Terry.
It's Horny Terry.
He's popping his head over there in the corner.
His little head is out.
He's popping his head out. Again, though. She pulls away.
Damn it.
This time, over concern for her hair. Is it looking good? Is it growing? She needs to be perfect tonight. She wants to look better than everybody else.
That's right.
She asks him what he thinks of her dress. In answer, he reaches down and then up her leg, touching her own secret drawer.
Oh.
And trying to take her straight to bed. Fuck the feast.
Her secret drawer?
Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
It's where you put things in.
It's where you put special things.
Yeah, your favorite things.
Yeah, okay. I get that.
She wiggles away from this and complains about the wrinkles on her dress.
Look, you can't fuck up the makeup, you can't fuck up the hair, and you cannot fuck up the dress.
Really makes you feel like that none of it's for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. You know what this is? If you're listening to this and you're roughly my age, maybe older, anybody older, almost a guarantee that their grandmother had a couch with plastic shit over it because it was a beautiful, luxurious, soft Italian leather couch, but it was not for fucking sitting. It was for looking.
That's in the formal sitting room.
And so, yeah, it would be so comfortable to sit on that couch, but they had this dumb plastic liner over it because they didn't want you fucking up their nice couch. And like, you get it, but it robs you of the pleasure of the couch.
Yeah.
It's just, it's there for you.
You gotta wait.
But it's not there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dalton, he thinks that no one's gonna notice the wrinkles in her dress with what's spilling out of it.
Is your titties hanging out?
Yeah. Wow. The turn. Right?
Yeah, it's pretty fat. Like, you like it so much, but also.
Oh, yeah, you're so fucking hot.
Him a little
you
bit?
slut.
Wow.
Yeah, right? That's what it feels like. Cold water on you.
Acceleration real fast. Speaking of cold water.
I love it.
And things that don't feel 100% great, my beer just so happens to be empty. I think it may be time that we take a little break.
Okay.
Why don't we do that? And we'll be back right after this. What? Are you saying right after this too? Where is this coming from? Are you? Is this holler speak that I just can't understand? What is happening right now? Huh?
We're back. And Dalton is still upset about the dress. He
still upset.
Does not want her to wear this in front of other people. It is just for her husband type of wear. And she disagrees. She's like, it's conservative, actually, compared to what other bitches are wearing. And if I don't wear this, actually, I'm not going to fit in. Is that what you fucking want?
This is kind of calling back to what we were talking about earlier, where she is playing the social aspect. Look, motherfucker, I know you're making deals to get to the top, and we've both agreed no matter what deal gets us there. We're fine with that. But also, we're trying to fit the fuck in. And this is what these people are wearing. This is what it's in vogue right now to do this thing. So we got to play this game too.
Now, I'm going to say this is a very complicated issue, I feel like, because she has been making comments about, little sideways comments about other men. And she is the one thing to him that he has wanted, like, in his whole life. The only thing he's wanted more than power is Tess.
I honestly think what it is covetous. I think the thing that she covets more than anything else is power. So she sees another man with power, and that's her trigger. Like, she is on that. She wants that. But the one thing that Dalton covets, as ambitious as he is his wife. He just wants her. That's what makes Dalton complicated. Yeah, he's covering this awful shit up that, granted, he should be in fucking prison for. But he's got this weird bent to it where he's like, but also I am going to honor and cherish this one woman and make sure that she has a good life. And that's kind of noble. As far as we've read on this guy, at the end of the day, it's bad. He should be in fucking prison. You're still covering up rapes. Like, we can't forget about that. You're doing very criminal shit.
And murders.
But like a lot of criminals. I don't want to twist it there. And I know everybody already knows what I'm going to say. The pirates did a lot of bad shit. They did a lot of bad shit. But they also let a lot of struggling communities survive in America. Communities that are important today in today's society. They let those cities survive.
Yeah.
And yes, they did horrible things. That's not to be forgotten. They are bad guys. They are velvet villains. They give a certain amount of people certain bonuses and perks, and that makes a lot of people look the other way. Looking at you, Italian mob, offering protection. But like, that's what it is. They offer a lot of people some good things so people can look the other way and make it not as big of a deal when in reality it very much is.
Now, for Dalton, though, he will not bend. He will bend on a lot of things in his life. He will bend the rules. He will bend the law. He will not bend on Tess. A lot of guys in this castle or palace will give up their wives to gain influence. Dalton is not willing to do so.
Yeah, that's why the dress is a big deal. I don't want you to make yourself look like you are available for that type of perk. Not because necessarily I'm worried about you doing that. They look like they got a pretty tight partnership going on, but because other people in the castle are used to that. And if you look more available than the other ladies, then they're going to assume that. But this is where I'm backing up Tess, because she said her dress is more conservative. She's not going as far as some of the other women. She's just trying to fit in. So let it go.
Well, I think that's the line here is that if there was solid trust between the two, then Tess would have more of an argument to be like, calm the fuck down. But she does keep making comments
those
through this whole
things.
chapter that make you go, maybe you should cover your tits up a little bit, okay?
Fends herself thinking about the director or Chanbor or the sovereign even, and you're just like, cool your jets there.
When she's a little bit of a cheater apologist, you're like, maybe don't.
It's the flip side to ambition.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're willing to do everything, but are we willing to do anything? And how much aren't you telling me?
Right. She does go on to say here, she does a little monologue about how she knows how important a man's wife is, that she's never made a fucking misstep. He knows this. Every time that they've moved up in the world, she's shown the fuck up in the right way.
She's adapted and fit in and made it fucking work.
Right. he kept up his side by saying that he was going to shoot up in the world, and she will keep up her side by having his fucking back.
Is this the trad wife thing? This is like you go up in the world and provide for our every need, and then I will make sure that your every comfort is taken care of because you are providing for everything. Like, we need for nothing, so I will provide for the comforts at home. Is that what this is?
I think it's a little bit less
and that's
that
not
and a little bit more
an admonishment. I just,
I think it's more the Game of Thrones situation. Like, Dalt he has his webs, he's playing the games, but he's not playing the side of the games that she's playing. Like, she's playing with the wives of these men.
Right.
He doesn't have that side of information.
He's not worried about the social aspect. He's like, once we get the power, the
Political
social aspect will be taken care of.
Right.
But she's making sure that their reputation stays a certain way on the way up.
Yeah. And
which is equally important, and I don't think he recognizes that.
I think that's the key.
It's an interesting thing about him.
Yeah. It seems like he knows it, but it doesn't really respect it.
It's a teenager's fallacy, really. Once I get this, then she'll like me. And it's like, no, dude, she likes you already. You don't need to achieve that. That's just a bonus.
She does seem to be coveting other people, though.
But that's what I'm saying. His wife covets power.
Yeah.
So as long as he maintains this 5 fucking upgrades and jobs in 6 months status, then she's going to be totally on board with him and do whatever the fuck he wants done to make sure that that happens. But once that stops, and we know what his plan is to, spoiler alert, become second in charge. And so I foresee Tess going, second in charge is great, but it's not first in charge.
And she might not have wanted first in charge until she was with Dalton.
Until she got to second in charge status. Yeah. And then she's going to look at first in charge status. And fuck, Dalton might do that too. But it's not going to be an option until they get there. And until then, they are both willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to get there. And that makes them extremely interesting, extremely dangerous. And I know we've gone way too long on this, but like, this is good fucking character writing by Terry.
Yeah.
And I'm not the most versed in like what that is exactly. Aaron, with like college and creative writing, knows a lot about it. And I know you've read a lot, but this feels good fucking reading to me.
And here's the thing. When you first listened to it in Audible, it was a lot. It doesn't seem that... that's why...
It's the narrator. I don't think it's the writing.
Yeah,
because this,
so I was like,
this
you gotta
shit I could talk for hours about.
Yeah, I was like, you gotta re-listen, you gotta reread it, because there's more there than what you think.
Maybe I should do some Audible book reading, because I feel like you gotta put a little heart in your characters.
Yeah. But anyways, Tess reiterates that she would never fucking risk everything that they've done to get here at this point by dressing or acting in the wrong demeanor. Yes. Like, we're at the pinnacle of everything we fucking built. Do you really think I'd walk out there like a goddamn hussy in front of everybody and embarrass us?
The whole thing she's working on is reputation.
Right.
She's like, I'm not trying to fuck that up right now.
Yeah.
I'm spinning at 100 right now, dude. We're making it happen.
Yeah, trust me, which it's difficult because on one side I'm like, yes. But on the other hand, I'm like, part of this is me having $4, I think. But, ooh, that feels dangerous from both sides.
I think the point of it is at the very core of what she's trying to get to is, dude, we are trying to make a good impression, a powerful impression. And for that to go off, we're going to have to behave in certain ways that may be a little foreign to us, but it's going to cause a great effect. And as long as we walk in and impress 90% of the people in the room, we are going to get what we want. Yes. But we have to ensure that happens.
Yeah. So he does agree to trust her judgment.
Right.
In this.
Because it's best at the end of the day to stick with the fucking plan.
But he demands that she stay away from Stein.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be hard to miss him. Listen, he's got a scalp cape.
Yeah, the scalp cape is kind of going to give him away.
It's probably going to have a smell.
That and the honestly, dead eyes. Yeah, and the smell.
Like, You don't even need to see the scalp cape. You're gonna know he's around.
Yikes, though.
Tess is intrigued, though, by this man.
This important, interesting foreigner?
Yeah.
This is why I'm a little intrigued about Tess. Because this is where it actually becomes clear how power-hungry Tess actually is. It's not that the guy is a foreigner. It's not that the guy is interesting and quirky and has a skull thing. All she really understands about this guy is that he is important. And it doesn't matter to her, really, that he's got a skull cape because he's important.
Scalp
cape.
Cap cape.
Scalp. What did I say?
You said skull.
Skull cape.
Which would be more difficult.
That would introduce some challenges.
Not saying you couldn't.
It would be a little thicker.
Yeah.
A lot heavier.
Louder.
Yeah, a lot louder. People would get it a lot faster, I feel like.
Harder
Scalp,
to
depending on how it's
together.
Actually sewed together.
Yeah.
This is a dark little alley we're going down. Might
we
actually look like a fur cloak of some kind.
We gotta keep going.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, interesting guy. But the point is, it doesn't matter that it's a scalp cape to her. He's powerful. And so that makes him an open option. That's why if I was Dalton, I would be careful with this one.
Yeah. The comments she makes are just, they're red flaggy. They're red flaggy.
Yeah, they are. They are.
And so he says it would be great not to have to slice him up for raping her.
Ha.
Which should throw a red flag for her because he said rape, not like fuck.
Yeah, literally he said rape.
Yeah.
I think the implication, and he is going to get to that in just a second,
yeah.
But we don't know this man like the rich folks are talking about him because he is some sort of weird novelty. But we're going to get to it in just a second here. Dalton's got some insider knowledge about this man.
Yeah. And Tess knows that he's not bluffing about this slice him up thing because he's as good with his sword as he is with the law. He studies it all the fucking time, so he fucking means it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting. This is just a little side quote from the book that he could behead a flea on a peach without disturbing the fudge. Fuzz.
The fuzz. Don't disturb the fuzz. Look, if there is a flea on your fudge, I would agree that it would be appropriate to swing a sword at it. As with most insects and bugs, the point is that he could take the head off a flea, which is saying something about a sword.
My thing was, I don't think that's physically, scientifically possible because I feel like a sword is bigger than a flea and it would just smash the thing.
We can't do that, though, Jade, and we can't do that for good reason. Do you know why? Because we have a hero that can call a target and do crazy, insane shit.
No, but I think that you need a razor blade.
And it's not beyond the realm of thinking to think that this man is just that damn good with a sword.
No, I think it's like physically the size of a sword is going to smash a flea because it's larger than the flea. Like, you would need a fucking razor blade to separate the head from the body of a flea.
Yeah, no, it's not physically possible.
Sorry to pop the bubble, but there's that.
Right, okay, so he's not mythical, right? He's not Richard level of call the target, but he's pretty damn good with the sword. And furthermore, he loves Tess enough to definitely kill for her, and she knows that.
Right. It's happened before.
It's happened before, and it's going to happen again, God damn it.
Exactly. And you know what's going to happen again?
What's that?
Another break. We'll be back.
Ooh.
Just a moment. Hey, best friends. So, we're back. And Tess is like super sure that Stein isn't going to be sleeping alone tonight anyways. So, he doesn't need to worry about her.
Yeah, he's going to have women like throwing themselves at
his feet.
He's kind of a novelty in town, so that tracks.
And anyone who fucks him is going to be the talk of parties for months. It almost sounds like she's jealous.
A little bit.
Weird.
A little bit.
Weird. And so Dalton makes a comment about a Haken girl, probably Biota, who knows how great and wonderful it is to be in his bed. And Tess is like, well, Haken girls don't count as people to these women. They wouldn't care what she has to say about being in his bed, which is just all around a very sad statement.
And it kind of puts in perspective what this guy does for a living. The moral lines that he's got to toy with on the daily to just make shit happen. It's not good.
But what is interesting to me is that most of the things he does, he seems okay with. It does seem, because of how much he brings it up in this chapter, either with Tess specifically or in his mind, he does seem to feel particularly bad about what happened with Beata.
Like, he's not heartless.
Right.
He knows it's terrible. He does feel bad for her. There's just a certain part of him that seems to say, this is necessary for my success.
Right. It's necessary for my success, but I also think that those two men now are also pieces of shit.
Yeah.
For what they fucking did.
He knows the moral line. He's willing to do the cover up. He may not be willing to do the crime.
Right.
It doesn't make it better because he's still covering up something like that. And that forces that person to deal with that probably long term.
And he doesn't treat these people differently either.
But that's why I'm saying this dude is a fucking criminal.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to whitewash the things that he's covering up because they're horrid. There's no excuse really for doing this. The reason he's doing it is money. It's just interesting that he's got this moral line with something like this. Like, he can know what happened to Beata and keep his fucking mouth shut. But then he will go to his wife and cater to her every whim because he absolutely covets that woman.
And if she was ever touched in that way, he would lose his
he
fucking
would
shit.
Absolutely murder a motherfucker for doing that to her. But so that's why it's interesting that he can hold both lines, like splitting your brain like Richard does.
Yeah.
This guy is doing that to cover up certain unsavory aspects of his everyday life.
But it does seem to be affecting him because he's snapping out about it to his wife, who he's not speaking to her about it. He's not explaining it. He's just leaving little trails of it that she's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
This is like some shit you seen when you were in the military and you're not allowed to talk about it. Yeah. But it was a little traumatizing and it's leaking out because it's affecting you. And that means the guy's got a conscience, which is another fucking crazy thing about man, I like this complicated character.
That's why this episode is so long, because I tried to cut a lot of this little stuff out, but I was like, it is so interesting to me that he has so many different facets of his personality.
Yeah, and we've always said that, some of these chapters are short and they're not going to get very much time, but some of these chapters are big and detailed, and this one was a 40-minute monster. So this episode is just going really, really long, and we've heard from folks that they're down for that. If the chapter goes in that far, then so do we, and that's what we're here to fucking do.
And you hate this? Tell us.
So we're also consequently on our third beers and deep into this shit. So
strap in, bitches.
Here we go. Cheers, JD.
Cheers. Woo.
Okay.
That's what my Pokemon would say. So
it would. It totally fucking would.
Cheers. Tess, turning the convo to other matters, asks if Anderith will side with Jagang or the Midlands. Is it decided yet? Come on, you gotta have some insider knowledge.
Yeah, you're the fucking guy.
Dalton's like, hey, directors are divided. Stein just arrived. He hasn't started fucking talking yet. This is still developing.
Stein just now becoming clear to me as an agent of the Imperial Order.
Yeah.
Or the IO, as you put it in the notes for short that I did not understand until today.
Yes. I type a lot for my job, and any words that I can shorten and make easy, that's what I do. Tess realizes that because this guy is here and decisions have to be made, the Sovereign's gonna be here tonight at fucking dinner. And she is mystified by this. She's gonna be at the table. Like, not even just in the room. She's gonna be at the table with this man breaking bread.
You're gonna be seated with the fucking Pope.
And this is all because of her fucking husband.
That's right.
Yeah.
She got her there.
Dalt reminds her to stay away from Stein. And actually, fucking Bertrand, for that matter.
Yeah. The two
Fuck both those guys.
Most powerful people, the representative of a kingdom that's foreign and unknown from far away, and the leader of the world that we exist in, the two people with the most power, you got to stay away from them because actually they're terrible pieces of shit.
And actually, they're the two people during our whole conversation tonight that you've made some kind of sus comments about. So how about you just sit the fuck down and don't talk to them unless I tell you to?
Like, we know
Which
for a fact.
feels a little controlling, but also.
But Stein has a fucking scalp cape.
Yeah.
And Chanbor is raping people.
They're both raping like 14-year-olds.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, we're trying to paint this picture about Dalton.
Maybe.
That, like, he's a complicated character, and we are going to have to get deeper into this later, right? These are not our final thoughts on the man, but it really is interesting that he's willing to cover up rape, which is not fucking okay, but willing to absolutely walk the line for his wife. And anything beyond that is absolutely unthinkable for the man. The two trains of thought just don't make sense to me.
Cognitive dissonance, isn't it?
Wild. It's like, gotta be.
I'm gonna keep going with the notes, and I'm just
absolutely.
I'm just gonna tease my thoughts because I don't want to get too far in the weeds with this. But I'm gonna say that there are a lot of people in this world who will demonize certain things and then turn around and be okay with it happening in their house.
That's true.
And that happens every fucking day. And I just think that this might be a little bit of that. You could say, this is fucking terrible. I don't agree with this. I won't have it for my family. But actually, I will. This word.
It's the image of what it is.
Yeah. If I can hide it, if I could keep it behind closed doors, it doesn't matter that I say it's not okay.
It's the social aspect. It's the game that Tess is playing right now. Yeah. Yes, you have to say the appropriate things, but whether or not you actually follow through with the appropriate things doesn't matter.
In your life.
Because you were seen saying the right thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we're going to have to switch from beer to whiskey. It's not even time for a beer break.
Dalton tells her if she's a good girl, he will introduce her to the sovereign. And she promises to show him just how good she can be tonight when they go to bed if she can wait that long.
Take me to church.
Which I think there was two thoughts I had. Number one, he does make the comment about being a good girl, which made me feel
a little weird.
Yeah, she's mid-20s, which makes it better. But also still, she's very much younger than him, and he treats her that way. So it felt a little bit not cool.
There's a mix of the hot aspect and the creepy older guy aspect. Yeah. Now, they're only 10 years apart. She's in her 20s. They met recently.
Right.
She's not a kid. He's not into that. It's fine. It's consensual. They're adults. It's wonderful.
I'm not trying to make it something it's not.
No. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
the power.
When she covets power, and power is the thing that he's doling out to her, the daddy aspect becomes a little bit dirty.
Yeah.
I'm not dissing it. I just, you know.
Especially from a woman's perspective, it felt a little bit demeaning.
When it's for fun, it feels for fun.
Right.
When there's actual purpose behind it, it feels not fun.
Right.
And it hit me too. It's not.
And she responds in a positive way, but that also just makes me feel like not good either.
That dynamic is being enforced.
Yeah. But the other thought that I had was just that he was trying to get you to bed like 5 seconds ago. So if I were Dalton at this point and she was like, I'll show you how good I can be if I can wait that long, I'd be like, bitch, go to bed.
Do you listen? Okay.
Go lay down.
Because I've had thoughts. From his point of view, obviously, no. I'm saying this wrong. From her point of view, this man clearly wants something from you. And you clearly want something from him. Give him what he wants. She gets what he wants when he gets what he wants. But he wants to give her what she wants. So that's why it's a little weird to me. But
now that we're talking through it, maybe her strength in this relationship is sex. So she is withholding, teasing. Hey, when we go to bed tonight, I will reward you after I do my thing.
Yeah.
So like it's a give. He thinks he's in control, but Tess is actually in control because of that aspect.
Then I feel a little bit better because I'm like, I don't want to be siding with the guy on
I know.
this, okay? I don't. That's not what I was shooting for.
This whole thing is complicated.
But also, she is working angles that she's getting bonuses to, and so it doesn't feel like the usual situation. This is the
she's
thing
also
Aaron brought up,
manipulative.
where it's like there's black, there's white, but actually there's a gray spot.
Yeah.
And between these two consenting adults, this gray spot is where they're shooting for. And they're both getting that. And so that kind of feels okay. The daddy aspect still feels weird.
Yeah,
That's still
this
weird.
is going to be a weird transition, but we just watched Wicked. Everybody is morally gray, actually. Nobody's actually good or bad.
Nobody is Kaylin.
Kaylin's not even Kaylin. Anyways, Tess goes on about more hot goss at the behest of her fucking husband. He asks for this and then fully tunes out and starts thinking about what he needs to do for Chambor. He is a man who wants everything, from Haken girls to the seat of the sovereign, and all the pomp and ceremony and circumstance that comes with it.
Pomp and Circumstance is actually a song that a lot of high schoolers learn to play in band.
Listen, my brain went to a weird place, and that's why what happened just happened, okay?
That's what it is.
Because I was in band.
That's
probably.
okay. Yeah, so was I.
If Dalton had any say, he would have the pomp and ceremony and the seat of sovereign.
That's right.
Not the circumstance,
He
probably.
wants Chambor to have that because he's been helping Chambor, and Chambor is going to be doing him some favors once he gets it.
And also because Dalton doesn't need to be the sovereign.
That's
he
right.
just needs to be the minister of culture, which is the true power in Andorith.
Sometimes being number 2 really does have its perks.
Mm-hmm.
You can avoid all the heavy responsibility of shit. You can avoid all the pomp and ceremony, like was pointed out. But you get all the power, and culture and society have a lot of say in things that are good and bad, and you can definitely use that to your advantage.
I was going to reference some vice presidents, and I decided, you know what, I don't want to.
Yeah.
He would settle for minister and have the sovereign dancing on his webs. That's all he wants. He wants all the power and none of the bullshit.
I don't know for certain that this actually applies, but I'm kind of reminded of, was it Rasputin? The guy in Russia who was like kind of in charge of the church, but also a mystic. And he would talk to the king and be like, yo, this is kind of what the gods are saying, but it would be things that would be to his benefit. He was like a mystic. And even the king was like, dude, if he says it, then we make it happen.
Most of my knowledge of Rasputin is
from
Anastasia. He has a bat friend.
Okay, that is not the same guy. That is not the same guy. That's fine. We can move on. Entirely different dude. I gotta let you know about some history stuff.
I mean, I watched The Great. I think I probably know what you're talking about.
There's an equivalent. He was the guy with the beard, but that's not. No,
he's dead. His hand falls off. His eye falls out.
That's okay. No, it's not the creepy bat guy. But actually, it kind of is the creepy bat guy. Like, there's a reason he had that name.
Nate, we have to get back.
Okay.
Let's talk about news from the Midlands.
Okay. The war, yeah.
Exactly.
We know that Stein is here representing the Imperial Order. And so now we're going to kind of talk about the Midlands side.
So Dalt's like, hey, It's reported that the Mother Confessor has not only thrown her lot in with Lord Rawl, but is also right, but is also marrying that motherfucker.
So they are super tied in. They're an empire now, and it's a whole thing.
But he has magic, so he's not going to get confessed, so it's going to be fun.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking about this in the way that this signifies to them that this is really possibly turning out to be a war between the old world and the new one.
Right. It was also reported, though, that Lord Rawl is a man of integrity, conviction, and he's committed to peace, which is very interesting to me that was conveyed. But Dalton is also recognizing that he is demanding their surrender.
Okay, so we've talked about this before. We've talked about the aspect of, from the people's point of view, what it's going to look POV. Like when Richard says, I demand surrender. And so here we are looking at Anderith, looking at Richard's kind of offer, saying he's demanding our surrender. And then the Imperial Order is coming in saying, look, we're not demanding your surrender, but we can make this whole transitional period easier for you.
Yeah.
And to them, that looks like a sweeter deal, even though it may not be.
Correct. And also, men that demand surrender don't tend to be reasonable people. Right. They tend to be like tyrants, like the old Lord Rawls.
They're people that see things in black and white. It's this way or that way.
My way.
May not always be that
or
way.
The highway.
But that's where it is.
Exactly. And the IO is open to negotiation. The directors that are stuck in the old ways, that are loyal to the Midlands, are dwindling down. They're dying out.
Well, we know that Richard didn't exactly make it easier on the leaders of the Midlands to make the right choice. It is the right choice. Nobody's disagreeing with that. Obviously, you want to side with Richard over the Imperial Order. But he's giving some pretty severe terms that aren't always easily met. Now, if your conviction is stout enough, then sure, you're going to do it. But maybe some of these countries are getting less of a deal than other countries in the Midlands, and the Imperial Order's deal may look a little nicer.
I think part of it is that you may not have trust in this new administration that they're going to have everyone's back to be fair.
They're new. They don't have any experience.
Correct. And the old administration may have had certain favorites. So it may feel like certain people deserve to be favorited, or you may expect that other people will be favorited over you. So that makes you a little bit more trepidatious to be part of that order.
It makes you play your hand a little differently than maybe you otherwise would have.
Especially if somebody else is saying, what do you want? I can give it to you.
Yeah, maybe you don't even have to play your hand. Maybe you can just kind of support this other person and get exactly what you want.
Right.
That way is the least amount of effort and the most amount of benefit.
And Dalton has no interest in a war. There is going to be a war. That is pretty clear. He has no interest in his people being slaughtered for that war, though. He knows that they have the Domini Dirt, which I don't think has been mentioned very much so far.
Not often, but we have heard of it.
Right.
This is just enforcing that the Domini Dirt is a weapon to be reckoned with.
But he doesn't want to have to use that. If, they could join with one of the sides that has better terms and prospects ahead of time, and they can avoid the whole situation altogether. That's obviously the way you want to go.
Yeah, This dude is not out for destruction. He really does kind of want everything to just work out.
And I also want things to work out. You know what I think we need to do?
What's that?
I think we need to take a break, because I think that everyone needs to take a little pause every now and then to go to the bathroom, get a drink, and just relax.
We do. We are well over an hour at this point.
Exactly. So. And I know the advertisement people want to get their voices in there, but you don't have to listen to them. You can just let them play and then go walk away and come back in like a couple minutes. We'll be right back. Hey, y'all, we're back.
We're back.
The decision is, do you go with Wizard Raw, who has a scary magic? Or do you go with Jigang? No magic. No match.
But he doesn't know that he's not a no match. Because he can get into your dreams and shit using magic. Like, he's not a no magic person.
Yeah, Dalton doesn't know that.
Dalton doesn't know that.
It's so fucked up.
He's like Richard Raw with the magic or Imperial Order with no magic. But that's not the fucking case.
No. But he also doesn't know how they would accomplish having no magic in the world. But he assumes that maybe it would be just taking out everybody that has magic. Which some people already have this goal.
It's already been a thought.
And I mean, we've already dealt with these people.
Maybe this weird guy who's, a part of the Midlands, but maybe he is the problem.
But we do know, remember Nipple Guy?
Yeah.
The Boff people?
Toby.
Yeah, Tobias.
That's where you choose to apply the Australian accent?
Is that what that was?
This deep in it? Yeah.
That was what it was? Ooh.
Tobias? I don't know.
Good job,
think it's a
Dave.
beautiful accent. I'm not trying to make fun of it. I'm trying to be a little bit sensitive about that because it's fun for us to say, but also I don't want to upset anybody, but I'm pretty sure Tobias is pretty close to how they would say
When
it.
you just said it sounded that way.
Yeah, when you say it quick, that sounds pretty natural to me.
I want lessons. Anyways, okay.
One of our patrons, you know what? This is a perk you get as a patron. We know who you are. One of our patrons from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, I'm asking you, brother. How close are we? Are we far off the mark? Are we close?
Can we have
Let us
private
know.
lessons in
I don't
Australian?
want to upset you. You are one of my favorite people on the planet. That's an honest thing. But Dan, set us straight, buddy. We're a little lost without Aaron here to keep us on track.
Also, he doesn't know how they would accomplish this. Maybe just taking out people with magic. We already know people have this goal.
Mhm.
Andorith does have several radical leaders in chains.
Right.
One of them is Saren Rajak. Rajak believes witches to be evil. Not a
Okay.
original thought,
Right?
but he has incited wild and destructive mobs before he was arrested.
Huh.
So it wasn't just hey, people are evil. It was like, hey, people are evil and we need to burn the town down.
Men like that are dangerous, but can be useful. It's very interesting to me that the one that can be the loudest and essentially cause the most harm can also be useful to the most powerful among us.
It's convoluted because there have been quote unquote mobs that have been destructive over a lot of things. And I mean, I don't think destroying businesses or hurting people is ever a good thing.
No.
But it's interesting how things can be spun one way or the other, depending on who is in power.
I think whenever you get a lot of people who are passionate about a certain topic, you should absolutely listen to the cool-headed leaders of the group and see what they have to say. And judge from that point whether or not it's warranted to be listened to or not. Good Kind has a way to touch on these topics that just elicit some feelings about things that are going on nowadays. And I just feel like we need to be wary of people in power because of these folks like Dalton Campbell who make that easier for the people to do things that we may not agree with.
I think, yeah. And I think that we're going to have to find our footing over the next few years because we have done our best to try and keep this a escape from the bullshit of the real world. But I also am not trying to betray my real thoughts and feelings about things.
Right.
Because I'm not trying to be like a sellout and just be like, okay, we're going to shut up about how I feel about things because of the political climate. So we are going to have to figure out how we navigate the waters as we go. And I invite you guys to maybe please privately message us.
Send us a message in your journey books to podcastatt@gmail.com. We say it at the end of every episode,
With
but
your
guys,
thoughts?
we really mean it. We're
And,
just two people kind of expressing how we feel
and
about
trying to navigate this.
a story we love and figuring it out.
and navigating the world. So if this has made you feel any type of way, please let us know, and we will try and do our best going forward the way that we feel right. And I'm going to try and finish this podcast.
We are totally going to do it.
As much as possible.
Here we go.
Still on her gossip, Tess is just rambling away, talking about how, hey, by the way, Claudine Winthrop is going to totally shout about being raped by the minister at dinner.
That would have been super useful if you brought that up like super right away. We're here getting ready for this dinner tonight. Yeah, that's something we kind of want to know. And kind of like, okay, from Dalton Campbell's point of view, right? Morally gray character as he is, we know that his first priority is going to be make this not happen. So, like, let me know that first because we're getting ready to go to dinner now. I might need to get some shit in place to make sure that doesn't happen.
It is very wild that she is like, hey, your direct boss is going to be accused at dinner. Now, granted, she didn't know of the important people that would be at this dinner.
Right. The sovereign was a surprise to her.
But still, probably, yeah, a good thing to say right away. Dalton knows that this is the perturbed woman that was mentioned in the note from earlier.
Right.
We didn't mention her name back then, but this is the first time in the chapter that her name is actually brought up. She is that lady, and she had been hanging around Bertrand, flirting her eyelashes around. What did she expect?
She wore a short skirt.
Yeah.
And she flittered her eyelashes, and that equals she got what she deserved.
You know, it's hard. I feel like there's a lot of victim blaming going on here, and I don't think that that's right. I'm not trying to go too deep on it, but it really feels like, hey, you know, if you make eyes at a guy, he can kind of do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we already passed the note or not, but I remember reading one of the things that was basically saying she asked for it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, she fucking didn't. There's a certain way you can speak about certain bad things in the world. I, as a human, am learning this late in my 30s, that you can make something that's not very wholesome and good in general sound like that. Oh, well, you know, so-and-so has a lot of stress. He just needs to be able to take the steam off every once in a while. And yeah, that sounds innocent enough. But in actuality, the thing you're talking about is a rape of an innocent human being. And that is fucking detestable at best.
Yeah.
So pissed off. Oh my God.
I think that's the thing is that, like, we weren't there as readers for what happened. And so it could have been a fucking, but she's describing it as rape.
She went in there maybe thinking a dalliance with Chanbor would be great. And the thing she got was not fucking that. And she did not feel that way at the end of it. That's what matters.
Right. She's saying that it wasn't right. And it shouldn't just be covered up and assumed that she asked for it. Just because she wanted to fuck with him.
And that's what it is. You know what? At a certain point, yeah, she kind of did ask for it. Not in the way that she asked the man to actually do the thing. She had an idea in her head that being with a man like Chanbor would enable her to have a better life. You know, they had an idea of what they were getting into, but the thing that these fucking wolves enticed them into was not that.
What they got.
And now they feel broken and used and abused, which they were, and they are reaching out for help, and they are unable to get help because of what these monsters did for them, because these monsters are important people.
And what people assume.
And just because they're important and rich people means that they get to walk away with doing these things to people, and it's fine. Yeah. And just because they have the name they do, they don't have any consequences.
Right. So Dalton asks what the other ladies think about this accusation. And Tess says that everyone thinks it's terrible. I mean, the minister could be called to be sovereign any day now, and that's a big responsibility.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's really terrible for him.
It's so bad for him.
This is so bad for his mental health. He shouldn't have to deal with this. Right. Tess goes on to say how he's overworked. He has the right to seek harmless diversion now and then. The women are willing. It's nobody's business. The tramp asked for it.
But they're not, though.
If they were, they probably wouldn't be saying they weren't.
That's fucked up. I know Goodkind puts a lot of this stuff in his books because it's shocking and it makes you feel a certain way pretty strongly. But I guess the last time that I read these books, I didn't really appreciate this section for what it was. And it's upsetting.
I think the part that makes this more upsetting than it would be is that these are women against women. So it's Tess and the other women of the palace who are angry at the raped woman for complaining about being raped.
And complaining about it.
That is
because
what makes
they
it
didn't
upsetting.
Get the honor and privilege of the same horrible treatment.
Right.
Oh.
Because they don't understand how horrible that is because of the fantasy in their head. That's what makes this so disgusting. Dalt shares the thought for just a moment, but then he thinks about Beata. Yeah. She didn't understand. She didn't foresee Stein being in that fucking room. And this tells me that Stein probably did join.
Yeah.
in.
I think he did something fucked up.
Maybe it was just him being there, but yeah, it feels like it was more than that.
I think, maybe at the least he didn't join in. At the least he didn't join in. But Beata, I'm assuming being a virgin and getting dropped into a situation like that is not going to even understand another dude just like jerking off weirdly in the corner.
Yeah.
She's not going to get what the purpose of that is. At absolute worst, you know what I mean? And she wouldn't have, in her wildest imagination, imagined that to
ever
be
being
what
a
had
possibility.
Happened. No, it was more of a romantic notion. They would be in love and that
then he would marry her.
She'd be the equivalent of a princess.
Yeah.
It wasn't some weird fuck sesh in a dark room where she feels like this is not the same thing. And at the end of it, this poor girl was abused. And then when she goes to the appropriate people in charge, they don't do anything about it because this is an important man we're talking about. And just that fact keeps him clean. And that pisses me off so goddamn much. It's not fucking okay.
It's not. There's so many layers to this because what's interesting to me is that Dalton it seems to be having moral realizations through this day, though. He's done a lot of really fucked up stuff. And he's okay, it seems like, with the rape of adult women who seemed to know what they were getting into. But Beata being raped in the way that she was
not the same
has
thing.
Stirred him.
I'm glad that Campbell is having these complicated feelings. Being the guy who is the cleaner, right? That's his job.
Yeah.
He makes this dirty shit happen. Him having some feelings about something that his guy is doing is actually kind of good.
In a way.
Yeah. That not because it's obviously fucking awful.
Right.
But this guy is having feelings that we're having.
Right.
That this is not something that you want to do or enable because that's fucking awful. And now you have Beata. I mean, you've ruined her fucking life. She's never not going to have this happen to her. It's terrible.
No, you're right. You're not wrong at all. But after having that really deep realization, Dalton thinks about how some of these women only become unhappy when they don't get a plum. Not Beata, obviously, but like Claudine. She might just want something she didn't get.
She was one of the more adult women who may have actually been looking for it.
Yeah.
But then we're pissed off when they're like, oh, what? I'm not your girlfriend now? Like, no, you were a Saturday night fuck.
Right.
Goodbye.
Then
and now they're pissed.
And then it becomes his problem. And he has to make them believe that not only did they want what happened, but maybe they want the plum that he has to offer.
Right. It was an honor to fuck the minister. By the way, here's $500. Please go away.
Right. And Bertrand has standards. He likes young women. So he doesn't just fuck any woman in the estate. So some of these other women were likely mad that Claudine was bitching when she got her chance to fuck him and they didn't. So they were maybe feeling more defensive of the minister than her because of that.
Right. And without considering the fact that that may have not been a consensual thing.
Right. They
in
don't
the
care.
first place.
Yeah. They can't even imagine that.
No, because they want it.
Right. Bertrand doesn't need prostitutes to fuck young women. Lots of other guys in the area do, but they often die because of disease, along with the women that they see.
So he's not into the pay to come thing. He'd rather just use his power to get whoever it is that he wants.
It honestly seems like he's never even thought about it because they just like Beata,
they're
can just say
available. Yeah.
Dalton thinks about how lucky he is to have a woman like Tess. You know, she's here, she loves him, he doesn't even have to think about any of this bullshit. And she is the one thing that he's gotten not out of force of will, not out of beating out the competition or opposition. He just was hopelessly in love with her.
I would like to posit that although this man may turn out to be a horrible fucking decrepit human being, I really do enjoy this sentiment. And I feel this way about you a lot of times because you are wonderful and I don't deserve you. And yet here you are. Here you are on this wonderful podcast making all of these new friends out of your love of these books and everything that has created. And I just want to point it out. Sometimes motherfuckers get lucky. And I'm one of them motherfuckers. That's all.
Oh, I feel like I'm pretty lucky because I can't do any of this stuff because I don't know about all that shit over there on that thing over there.
Because I know how to plug stuff into other stuff.
Yeah. Better than I do. That's for fucking sure. And a lot of other reasons, dear.
Oh, well, thank you, Mel.
So, Dalt knows that Claudine will have to be silenced. No one really cares about the minister's dalliances, but an accusation of rape would be troublesome.
It's fine as long as it's quiet.
Yeah.
But now it's fucking loud.
You can't yell
we gotta make this
yeah.
loud person quiet. That's what it is.
The rectors of the Office of Cultural Amity held sway over who would be sovereign, and they could deny him a seat because some of them care about being morally good. So, being a rapist would be bad.
Ah, yeah. Well, yeah, that would stick out on the record.
Yes.
I mean, but that's the thing. That's what Chambor was upset about to begin with, is these probably, look, we don't know. Because apparently everything is fucking corrupt all the way up to the sky. But these apparently morally good people took a little peek into what Chambor was doing and set this whole thing in motion.
Yep.
Hopefully these people are actually trying to look out for the good of the people.
We'll see if they get anywhere with it.
Yeah.
But see, after he's named as the sovereign, it won't matter.
That's right.
Because they can't do shit. But right now, before he's named, it really, really does. So he goes to leave the room, and Tess is like, hey, motherfucker, we're getting ready to go to feast. Where are you going? And he's like, hey, I'll be right back. I just gotta go write a message real quick and send it.
I've been doing some considering, and I've decided that I've got to handle some business, which is apparently something about Campbell that is always going. Because, yes, he is ignoring his wife when she's talking to him. She's telling him all these details, which you would think kind of would be important, but the social aspect of what he's doing doesn't fucking matter to him, apparently. But he is constantly thinking about work. It is never not at the forefront of his mind.
I think that is something that I did not pick up my first couple read-throughs. I'm not gonna spoil anything.
Dude's a workaholic.
Yeah, he genuinely is not paying attention. Like, they're in the room together, they're having a conversation. He's picking out what he wants from that conversation, but he's genuinely not there in that room with her unless he wants to be.
Unless there's something that interests him.
Right. He's like, oh, you're sexy? Oh, I can't touch you? Never mind. Oh, you have something interesting? Okay, never mind.
That's where, and I think maybe this counts as maybe Wizard's Notes and Prophecies.
I think
it's
you're right.
a little different because Aaron's not here and it's just Jade and I. It really makes me think about Dalton and how, like, he's busy with work all of the time, and he kind of obsesses over that, where Tess is kind of obsessing over the social aspect of everything they're doing. And these two people are so ambitious that at some point, their ambitions are going to get in the way of their relationship. Like, that's what he admires about her, but that's also the thing that's going to frustrate him most about her and him. They both have this goal where it's like, look, me and you are willing to do anything to get there, but that anything might actually cross the line with the person you're trying to partner with to get there. It could be great. It could be terrible.
I think part of the issue becomes the fact that he is not listening when she's talking, right?
Right.
He's only pulling out.
He's lessening the importance of what she's deeming important.
Right. I think if they engaged more back and forth, it would be a different situation.
Communication is key.
Exactly. As we go through this book, I think we're going to be able to see how this keeps becoming an issue where he is focused in on what is happening in the palace. He does truly love her. He doesn't want to lose her, right? He is his most important thing.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Herself, the most important? Like, is her thoughts the most important thing? And what's happening with her the most important thing? Or the idea of her.
Of having somebody in that.
We're gonna keep building on this relationship. We're gonna have to see how this goes.
That's
because
even
I
deeper
do know
than
what
I
happens.
thought, dude. That's fucking
so I
crazy.
can't really talk about it. But my other note was that hair got brought up a lot in this chapter. We didn't really talk about this during the fucking episode. It's like around her shoulder length.
But she's waiting to let it grow out because she's obviously going to get there very soon.
Right. But what I keep forgetting as we go through these books is that most of the women in the Midlands have like really short hair because like shoulder length is standard for important ladies.
Right.
So shorter than shoulder length. So like below your ears would be a semi-important lady. Most lowly women in the Midlands have probably hair
to the top of the ear.
Yeah,
I kind of assume. Yeah.
Wild.
5-6 inches long. Most.
When I'm thinking about their interactions with people in the Midlands, I am not thinking about most women having hair that short. Are the mud people's hair that short?
I have a thought on that. I think it's maybe because the Legend of the Seeker TV show does not depict the women of the Midlands having short hair. And I think me and you have been doing a little more deep thinking on this and how fucked up that tradition actually is. I know that I historically have railed against some traditions, but I think it's actually a little more unsettling than we've thought about in the past.
Well, it's also interesting to me that the only people that Richard surrounds himself with are exempt from that rule.
Right. Kaelin, obviously, most important woman in the entire country. And Kara, being a Mord Sith, having a long braid. From Dahara, not necessarily having to deal with that tradition.
The Midlands.
Plus having a status that kind of, the long hair braid is a status symbol.
And then they went to the old world where people had long hair.
That is interesting. I've never thought about that before. Holy shit. We may have to do a side quest on that again.
So, yeah, that was all. That was just my little note about the hair thing it comes up every once in a while, and then it makes me go, wait, what?
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. Thank you for bringing that up.
But that's our truth. I would love to hear yours.
Oh, wow.
If you had any from this whole fucking chapter, which
this entire fucking chapter.
I would love to hear it. Write to us in your journey books to podcastatt@gmail.com or find us on any of our social media. If you would like to support this podcast or hear some more amazing, beautiful, spectacular content, find us over on patreon.com/podcastatt, where every tier is the happiest tier. Thank you all for listening. Bye.